Winter weather.
We are. It's coming.
Are you looking forward to it?
No.
No. This is someone who has small kids at home. I can
That's
imagine.
the only reason why. I mean, they're excited about the snow, but
you're stuck
no
at
school
home.
and
Yeah.
all that other
It's
stuff.
tough stuff. Understanding from a parent's perspective, a lot of folks are canceled from school, work, all the above. We're going to talk about this. Maxine is here. She's going to be looking at your questions. We're going to get to those. I want you to send them to us right here in your Facebook Live and wherever else we are streaming here so that we can answer them for you. But we're going to take you through everything that's expected winter storm warning. So thank you, Maxine. She's going to step off.
I've got the questions.
You're going to be keeping an eye on things. Y'all let us know what's going on with that. Now, let's talk about this winter storm. It is huge, okay? Blizzard warnings from Kansas City, winter storm warnings crossing most of the Midwest, and now, of course, the entire state of Maryland is under winter storm warning. Between 1 a.m., it goes until then on Tuesday for the West Bay counties, including Baltimore and everywhere else you see. East Bay counties, including Chesterton down to Denton, Easton, until 4 a.m. on Tuesday. So this is going to be almost a 24-hour period of winter weather. Here's our storm. It's a big boy, huge. I mean, you can see the size of this, that blue band of heavy snow pushing in, and we are practically bullseyed here in central Maryland for some very heavy snow. Nothing's falling out there just yet, but we are right on the edge of seeing that later on tonight's when we're going to begin to see some of that moving in. Let me actually step back here. I'm going to go and change some of my graphics. I want to show you guys something else that's of concern because we are, of course, weather alert. And everyone needs to know why, if you couldn't tell already. I mean, the winter storm is already going to be a major impact. But this is a different kind because the temperatures are so cold already, every flake is practically going to accumulate. The crews are out there pre-treating. I'm sure you've all noticed this. It's been talked about. But this is a major winter storm, and I want to note, this is probably, I mean, this really is the first really winter storm we've had to deal with, okay? So we have not had accumulating snow really yet, and now we're getting a ton of it. Heavy accumulating snow, very hazardous roads. This is likely going to be the biggest storm we've had since about 2022, where we've had 6.7 inches, but we could exceed that. So this is going to go back for a number of years. We have 5 to 8 inches of snow possible from around I-70 northward, 7 to 10 possible south of there. Even some spotty patches of 11 inches to a foot or more. So this is, again, a big one. Right now, 31 degrees. We're cold enough, and it is going to stay pretty cold tonight. Over the next 12 hours, we're going to see conditions deteriorating. That heavy snow is going to be moving in. I'm expecting it to move in between around 10 to around 2 or 3 in the morning. We'll start to see it spreading in, especially from the south and west. So you'll start seeing the flakes flying about that time. By 4 or 5 in the morning, it should be pretty much everywhere. And by daybreak, it is going to be very heavy. So that is what to expect in the next 12 hours. Those impacts, yes, this is going to be the kind that need to have school closings. Maybe many of you have been called out from work. Lucky you. Hazardous driving conditions are, of course, the major issue here. This is not going to be the kind of thing you want to go out and really mosey around in, except maybe in your very nearby neighborhood. Save tomorrow. Don't go out and get your favorite taco, but if you have to go to very important things, hospitals, if something serious is going on, if you're one of those lucky folks that have to work through the bad weather, do so, but do so with care. You can expect that. But possible power outages and flight delays or cancellations. BWI is going to take a long time to get through that. So again, those winter storm warnings. All right, so let's skip ahead. Again, the storm we already showed you, it's really moving in. The radar showing that really filling in. Yes, we're going to get to more specific snow totals. Let me take you through the timing first. So here's future scan. We start out with 10 o'clock. That edge of the snow is down here to the south and west. It's going to continue to push in. And as you notice, it is going to be very heavy snow across the region, a lot of that going to fill in, and that is going to continue through daybreak. The only chance we get a little bit of a lull in the storm is maybe between around noon and 4 o'clock. We may get just a little bit of broken, spotty showers of snow instead of that heavy, widespread snow. But that is round 1. That completes around lunchtime. A small break around 2, 3 o'clock, and then another round coming in. This is round 2. It should add on. So if you think the storm's over by lunchtime tomorrow, it's not. We've got a second round coming in. Any questions so far from you, Maxine?
Okay, so Michael wants to know if it's going to go into Tuesday morning or afternoon, if you think that schools will be closed on Tuesday also.
Well, as you can see right here, 11 o'clock. I'm showing that, so perfect timing on that question. By 11 o'clock, this is pretty much over. So by midnight to right around then on Tuesday, we're done with the system. And by this point, whatever's on the ground is going to be all that we have. So how quickly can they clear for Tuesday? I would say there's a good chance that at least Tuesday you might see some delays in schools, but we're not going to always necessarily have more cancellations because the storm is moving out. How much longer is it going to linger with snow on the ground? Well, that's up to how quickly the crews can clean it up. But it's going to be frigid cold in the morning. Did you see that? We were in the teens, and we're only going to get into the upper 20s on Tuesday. We're lucky if we can get to 30 degrees, and then another frigid night Tuesday night. Now here comes the important part, Here it is, those snow totals. On the low end, far up towards Cecil County, 3 to 6 inches. And then you can see it moves into deeper totals as you go further and further south. It looks like on the north end, so this is I-70 right here. From I-70 northward, we're likely going to see around 5 to 8 inches. That does include parts of the far northern area of Baltimore City and northern Baltimore County, Carroll County, Frederick County, but from around I-70 southward into Anne Arundel County, the south side of Baltimore, we're talking 7 to 10 inches. That's not all. But wait, there's more, to borrow a line from a few of those old commercials. We could see spotty 11 inches plus anywhere inside this pink zone. It's not necessarily going to be here or there. They could be anywhere within. So don't be completely surprised if you get above that 10-inch range, but this is going to be very isolated, whatever we get to that point. So again, here's your hour by hour tomorrow. In the morning, you're going to be heavy snow by daybreak, a little bit of a lull in the storm between noon and say around 3 or 4 o'clock, and then we're likely going to get another round. So 2 rounds of snowfall to come, the first being the heaviest. And it's just going to be very, very cold, Maxine. I'm not looking forward to this. High temperatures right here in the 20s to low 30s. We may not get above freezing until we get to Friday or Saturday, so that is not exactly wonderful news. Anything else coming our way?
How about any wind? Dawn wants to know if there's going to be any wind.
Not heavy wind. You know, strong winds that are blowing, say 30, 40 miles an hour, those are associated with blizzard-like conditions. Remember, blizzard is heavy snow and wind to drop visibilities even further. We're not expecting the winds to be too strong. 15 to 20 miles per hour would be the max. So that's the good news. This isn't going to be whiteout blizzard conditions where the wind is a major factor, but still heavy enough snow is low visibility.
All right, Jade says, will you guys be on when the snow starts at midnight? I can answer that. We will not be.
We will not.
But our morning show starts at
4:30 in the morning. And
4:30.
Amy Aronson's going to be in very early tracking this. We are going to be tracking this nonstop tomorrow. Jasmine Lomax will be here too. So we're covering this fully all the way until the very, very end. Here's something else, Maxine. That's not all too. But wait, there's more. We could see a second snowstorm.
That was another question.
Is there more coming? Here's the next question. Another winter storm is possible as we get into late Friday and Saturday. But again, we don't necessarily buy into it. We're still a week away here. We're going to wait until we see what happens with this, but there's still good potential. We could be tacking on to more snow totals for the season here with this one. We'll watch closely on that, but we got a chance in there.
Marquise wants to know if you could see rates coming down 1 to 2 inches per hour by the time it starts snowing.
Not at the onset would we have 1 to 2 inches per hour, but at the height of the storm, the strongest part of the storm, which was likely going to be around 5 to 8 in the morning, we could see upwards of 2 to 3 inches per hour in some spots. But 1 to 2 is certainly a very reasonable amount. This is going to be a heavy snow event.
And how about by 6 a.m.? Amber Johnson would like to know how much we might have on the ground by 6 a.m.
By 6 a.m., a lot of it that you see that we had. In fact, I'll go right back to the snow totals and we'll discuss this because, again, round 1 is the end of it around noon. By 6 a.m., you're going to wake up to probably, let's get back to the snow totals map for everyone to see. So this is where we're forecasting the end of the event, the entire totals. So that means by, let's say, 5 to 8 inches in this zone, that's going to be completed by the end of the night on Monday. You may be seeing about 4 to 6 inches on the ground by around lunchtime. By 6 a.m., you may see maybe 2 to 3 inches of snow at 6 a.m. but it's going to pile up quickly. And of course, same here. If you were to take away maybe 2 inches from this, you'd have 5 to 8 inches by around lunchtime tomorrow, and then maybe about 4 to perhaps 6 inches by 6 a.m. tomorrow. So this is going to be quite a pile that we already wake up to. Get the shovels ready. Hey, I want everyone to remind themselves about something, Maxine. You have to be careful and take your time tomorrow. Take your time with your driving. Take your time with your shoveling. Take your time with your kids. Get outside and enjoy this if you can. When you're snowed in, you got to make the best of it, but we don't want any injuries. We don't want any major injuries or fatalities on the roads. This is not going to be the kind of thing you want to get out and enjoy in your car, but you can get out and walk around in it. You can get out and enjoy this. Just, stay close to home. It's going to be very cold. Send some pictures, Maxine. I want to see some good pictures of you and your little ones out there in it. Snowmen. This is going to be the perfect snowball and snowman making snow. So that's going to be the best thing about it.
Absolutely. Excuse me. So let's see. Let me get to some more of these comments here. Are we getting more snow next week? And you answered that. Marilyn would like to know, is this causing heavy snow in other areas right now as it heads our way?
Well, it is beginning. I'm looking over my shoulder right here because I'm looking at the radar on this side. I might be able to back up and show you. Let me just stretch it on over because I can do this pretty quickly just if I walk over to my desk. The snow itself is not quite over our neck of the woods yet. It's outside of Maryland, but here's the current radar, and you can see where it is continuing to spread. So here it is pushing out of Virginia. We're still on that fine edge of seeing it before it pushes out of Virginia. So we've got another few hours before we see it even in Maryland, except for very spotty locations. So again, late tonight. If you're going to stay up late, you might catch it. Otherwise, tomorrow morning, we're all going to wake up to it.
Let's see, here's some more comments. Finally, says J. Mary, not looking forward to snow, but it is winter. Jade says it's pretty, but I hate it. I get that. It's pretty when you don't have to come to work.
Right,
I would be really excited.
It's a double-edged sword.
And it's not the work. I don't like to drive in the snow, so
really?
I'm a little nervous about the drive-in tomorrow.
You have to remind everybody when we're driving in snow. There's good tips for that. The first tip is if you want to learn how to drive in the snow, get a boiling hot cup of water and put it right there kind of like in your lap. You're going to drive very carefully if you have that in your lap, right? You're not going to be stomping on the gas, stomping on the brake, turning the wheel hard. You want to make sure that cup of boiling hot water doesn't spill all over your lap, right? That's how you should drive. Very gingerly on the gas, the brake, the turns. That's the motto I say. Pretend that you have that, and you'll usually avoid some of the worst. And pretend also that the car in front of you is, it's just kind of a weird thing I think about. Imagine if you were to rear end a car and it were to just, let's say, explode. That's the way you want to think about it when you're driving. Like it can sound kind of extreme, but if you say, well, let's back off from that car, it might have, let's pretend it has explosives in it. That way you stay more distant than you ever have before.
I'm going to give myself plenty of time tomorrow. A couple questions of whether or not there's a possibility that we see nothing.
Oh, near zero. Okay. Near zero. Nothing is not going to happen here. We've been confident of seeing at least 3 inches of snow for the past 3 days. That is, again, nothing, almost no chance whatsoever. The storm would have to go through something incredible to just disappear altogether.
Any possibility of any rain to take over, Joey would like to know. Not
expecting that. Our temperatures are still going to be around the upper 20s most of the day. I don't think we're going to have a major switch over. It's not impossible. We could see a little bit of light sleet mixing in. And let me show you where. Again, I'm going to push this forward in time. So this is 7 in the morning. This is where I'm talking about. Around noon, you can see there some of the very, very far ends. It could turn into just a bit of a mixture. And by that, we mean maybe a little bit of light sleet. Wouldn't expect it to be in the form of rain. Our temperatures are far too cold for that, meaning at least we don't have to deal with freezing rain. Freezing rain, we have to have a little bit of layer of warm air just above the ground. Not expecting that. This should almost fall in totality as snow, except very far extreme south of Maryland.
Will the heavy snow hit more north of the city? Rob would like to know.
That is a question we've been trying to answer for days, okay? The data has been very inconsistent for the last 2 days where that heaviest of the snow band fits in. So it took many days of good data to get that, to be able to answer that question. Could it move further north? Right now, the current thinking is from, again, that current snow map, is that the heaviest band is going to set up just south of the city. Could it move further north? There is potential for that. It's not impossible for that because the storm only has to track about 20 miles further north to take all of this heavy snow and blanket Baltimore with deeper totals. But for now, the data has been a little more consistent about keeping that heaviest band just south of Baltimore. But either way, you can see we're still going to get a pretty decent pile of snow, even to the northern part of the state. 5 to 8 inches is not an easy day of shoveling by any stretch. But we're not going to say for certain that this is going to hold without a doubt. Meteorologists will tell you, every single one forecasting snow is the most difficult thing to forecast here because a small change in the storm's track, but also the fact that snow, remember, is a 10-to-1 ratio. For every inch of rain, you would get 10 inches of snow. That's just relatively speaking, and very few people would notice or even care to scrutinize if they had a 1 inch of rain versus half an inch of rain, but that's the difference between 5 inches of snow and 10 inches of snow. So everyone's out there with the rulers tomorrow, and we would like to see that. Give us your measurements. Go out and measure it. Make sure you're doing it in the grass, away from trees, where you get a nice, even measurement. Definitely take out your rulers and send in your measurements and pictures and also your snowmen, all of that. We want to see that.
Speaking of snowmen, is it going to be good snowman building snow is the question.
It's going to be great snow. What the kind that we're going to have is that very classic kind. We call them dendrites. Those are the perfect snowflakes that maybe you might have drawn and cut out with scissors when you were in elementary school. Very good activity. But those shapes of snowflakes are called dendrites, and that kind is the best kind. Not all snowflakes, you've heard, are the same, and there are many, many different kinds of snowflakes. There are plates, there are rods, there are all these different kinds. It kind of depends on the atmosphere, but the dendrites are the best kind, and that's what creates the deepest snow, too.
Maybe you want to touch on this again, because there are a lot of questions about the possibility of more snow over the weekend.
We'll get right to that right now. How's about it? So first, we have tomorrow to deal with 2 rounds from the same storm. First storm round hits through around lunchtime. We get a little bit of a break because the storm's going to pull in some drier air around midday. So you may get a slight break, but the storm's not over. It might give you a little bit of time to get out there and shovel a little bit before round 2 of the same storm rolls in. And that's going to last from around 4 o'clock all the way through until around midnight. But there is going to be another storm possibly coming our way. And this is it, showing up in the data. Both of our models that get out this far do show this storm developing. Now, how much are we going to get out of this? Way too soon to tell. Will it definitely be snow? Still too soon to tell. Again, the track can be very wildly different from what we're seeing here. If it moves further north, we'll be in the warmer part of it and we'll be getting rain. But I'm not counting on that yet. I would say more than likely we'll be on the colder side, the way I've been seeing this pattern going. So there's still a good chance for seeing snowfall with this storm, hence why we do have on the 7-day forecast 40% chance of snow for Saturday. When that rolls in, Friday night into Saturday, that chance will go up if we see consistently that showing up in the data, Maxine.
All right, want to take one more?
One more and we'll call it a night, but we'll be on at 10 o'clock with an update,
we'll be back soon.
Don't worry about that.
Patty would like to know, is this heavy snow to shovel?
Oh, yeah.
It's going to be a lot of shoveling.
It's going to, please, everyone, okay, take it from me, a guy who, I'm still fairly young, but I can throw out my back, and this is not something you want to do. Remember, shoveling snow, there have been fatalities from people who have done this. They literally shovel to the point of giving themselves a heart attack. There's a name for that kind of snow. We've even called it heart attack snow. Very heavy stuff. This is something you want to take your time, a lot of breathing, very gentle movements, okay? You ever heard, lift with your legs, not your back? That's the key. But also take breaks, take a breather, drink fluids. Yes, you're outside in the snow, but you will get dehydrated. The air is actually drier than you think and will dehydrate you. So please take it easy. We don't want anyone to be crashing tomorrow and certainly not injuring themselves in any way shoveling snow.
Check on your neighbors, your elderly neighbors. They might need a hand with the snow.
Yes.
They
Be a
might
good
just need
neighbor, y'all.
Yeah, be a good neighbor.
Please, and just see how they're doing, and if they just need a little bit of help, this is going to be one that you can be a good neighbor. Take the opportunity to show your good character. I like that, Maxine. Thank you. All right, so we'll be back at 10 o'clock tonight. Maxine and I will both be joining you. I'll have the latest data. We're going to be tracking this storm, and probably the next one a little bit, and we'll have an update. So we will see you then.